Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we are creating this look, which I love. I am incorporating some really fun color using pretty much all brand new products, a lot from the brand Inglot. So I went to Vegas last week and I stopped by the Inglot store and I picked up a lot of goodies. Inglot, if you're not familiar, is similar to, I feel like it's kind of like MAC. It's an artistry driven brand. They have a lot of really great products that are great for, you know, the everyday makeup lover, but also really highly targeted to professional makeup artists as well. So I custom created this eyeshadow palette, which I have to share the packaging of this. So you buy the empty palette and it's magnetic, which I think is so cool. So cool. So I bought this palette. I filled it up with these 8 shadows. We are using most of these in today's video. We're also using their cult classic Duraline, which is, I feel like, probably one of their best sellers. It's a really innovative product that allows you to turn powder shadows into gel liners. So we're playing with that. And then we're also playing with their gel eyeliners, which they are also known for. I feel like those two products are probably their best sellers. So if you guys want to see how I created this look, let's go ahead and get started. So first we're gonna start with this Dior primer. I've really been enjoying this primer. It's a very hydrating primer and it does blur out texture, smooth pores. It's not like the best in blurring texture and smoothing pores, but it definitely does something. And it feels really good, you guys. I can't tell. It feels like a hybrid between a moisturizer and a primer. It's also supposed to help plump the skin. It feels incredible. I'm really enjoying it. Next, we're gonna go in with the Merit Complexion Stick. I'm gonna use this as foundation today. I'm not gonna use this as concealer, but I have used this as concealer and it works really nicely. So I've applied this pretty liberally all over the face. I am gonna use a different concealer. I'm not gonna use this as concealer. You can use this product as concealer and I've worn it that way. It actually works pretty good. I'm definitely impressed with this stick. It has a pretty natural finish. It's not gonna have a matte finish and it's not gonna be, you know, dewy or radiant. It's kind of right there in the middle of the road. It wears really well. Yeah, I'm a fan of this product. I've been enjoying it. Since I applied quite a bit, I am just gonna kind of go in and spread the product to blend it out rather than pressing to get a lot of coverage because I have enough product here on my face that I'm gonna get the coverage that I need. I am the shade Ochre and I actually did pretty good about picking a shade. You know, I always feel like when I pick a shade in Sephora, I'm either, you know, if it's a new product that I haven't tried, like a concealer or foundation, there's about a 70% chance I'm gonna get it right and then a 30% chance I'm gonna get a shade that's too dark or too light, but I did pretty good with this one. I feel like it's a perfect match actually. Yeah, so that just gives the skin a nice natural finish. It looks really, really natural. Next, I'm gonna go in with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and I have the shade Custard. This is just a great concealer. It's got great consistency, good coverage. It's kind of like that OG Holy Grail product. I like the light weight of this concealer too. It's funny because, you know, this concealer has been around for a long time and we've seen so many concealer formulations come out since this product. And I feel like a lot of them now are leaning more on the thicker, heavier, full coverage side. I feel like Shape Tape, you know, was such a success. And that really is a heavier, thicker, full coverage concealer. I wonder if that's like influenced the concealer development these days, but this is really nice and I forgot how nice and lightweight it is. To blend this in, I'm gonna use the BK Beauty Beauty Sponge and I use the tip to get right there in the inner corner, but I also use the side of the sponge. We designed this sponge to really fit every contour of the face. So you can use the corner here, you can use the side of it here on the cheek, you can use the curve here around the jawline. It's really designed to hug every curve and contour on the face. This is such a great concealer. It's really, really beautiful. It's hydrating enough to where it doesn't look dry or magnify fine lines or texture under the eye, but it's not like ultra creamy and emollient to where it's gonna move around or settle in fine lines. I think it's one of those concealers that generally is gonna work well for most people. I know like when it comes to Shape Tape, you either love it or you hate it, you know? There's not really a whole lot of in between, right? You either love that full coverage, matte finish, or you're like, no, that's way too heavy and way too thick. This one is pretty, like, just good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think there's too much to complain about this concealer on. When I describe products, even if it's a product that I love, I still like to kind of add who it might not be great for, or who might not like it, you know, because makeup is such a personal thing. But this product I really feel is generally good for all skin types, skin ages, It's just a really beautiful concealer. Okay, then I'm gonna take the sponge. I'm just gonna kind of bounce it on the face just to kind of add a little extra setting effect to the foundation. I am gonna set with powder, but we're gonna get to that a little bit later because I'm gonna be using cream bronzer and cream blush. And I have used this product before in videos, but gosh, you guys, I am loving this bronzer. This is the Danessa Myricks Cream Bronzer, and it has a very kind of natural matte finish. I want to say it almost dries to a powder. I feel like I saw that somewhere in Sephora, but it doesn't say anything on here. It has a very nice matte finish to the skin. So I love it. I am the shade Light. It comes in a light, a medium, and then a darker tone. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 107 brush. It's like the perfect size. And I'm gonna load up the side of the brush and then also the tip of the brush. It's a really nice, warm color. It's so easy to blend in, especially with this brush. I'm just kind of using this brush and pressing it into the skin to create that slight contour. It's very warm, so it's not really like a great contour product, but I'm kind of giving some dimension and shape to the face. I'm gonna go in the hairline. Now that we're getting into fall and hopefully cooler temperatures in the next, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks in Texas, hopefully, I'm gonna be really leaning on cream products. I love cream products, cream blush, cream bronzer, but usually in the summer I stick to more powders. This summer has been a little different. My skin has been drier this summer than it ever has. So I've actually been wearing a lot of cream products this summer. You can just kind of go in and build till you get like just the right amount of color. This bronzer is very easy to work with. It's almost hard to mess up if you get the right shade. Again, I have the shade Light, so pretty. I'm also gonna take some on my jawline, and I'm gonna take some and kind of run it down the side of my nose. So nice. So pretty. Do you see what that does? It just warms up the face with a very natural, warm, kind of sun-kissed glow. Next, we're gonna go in with blush, and I'm using the Rare Beauty. This is the blush in the shade Bliss. This is what it looks like in the component, a really pretty soft, peachy pink. Now this cream blush in particular has a lot more pigment in the formula. It's probably one of the more pigmented cream blushes that I have tried. And you know, honestly, I feel like it's easier to mess up. It's easier to apply too much. So you want to apply a very small amount of this. I'm going to start with just 2 little dots right there on my cheek. I'm going to take the same brush I used for bronzer, and I'm just going to kind of, do you see how much color that has? I mean, it has quite a bit of color. So I like it, but it's not my favorite cream blush for that reason, because it's so easy to mess up. You really have to have a light hand. Now the beauty about cream products is that generally you can fix any mistakes that you make. So if you put too much on, really all you have to do is take your brush, kind of run on a towel or paper towel, and just kind of keep blotting it, and it'll kind of pick up any excess. You can also use a sponge. You can also go over with a little bit of foundation, but that's an easy way to fix if you apply too much. But this particular product is very easy to apply too much, so be careful. But if you like a lot of color and a lot of pigment, then this is one to try. It also wears really well throughout the day, so that's a bonus. I just wish that it were not so not so pigmented, a little bit more sheer in the color, because again, it's very easy to have clown cheeks if you're not careful. Okay, that's pretty. It's a little bright, but I feel like it gives me that kind of slightly sunburned, like you're just recovering from a sunburn, which actually sounds terrible, but your skin is beautiful when it is. Okay, next I'm gonna go in and set the center of my face and also set underneath my eyes. For that, I'm using the Danessa Myricks Loose Powder. This is a product that I have used and loved for years. It is one of my favorite loose translucent setting powders. It looks white, but it pretty much just completely disappears. It's like a true translucent powder. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 108 brush for this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick some up right here in the packaging, but I'm also gonna take the lid, kind of blot it off. I don't need a lot of powder, and I don't want a lot of powder. And I'm just going to start right there in my forehead, gently kind of blot the brush onto my skin. This powder also is so beautiful to blur pores. It's actually pretty impressive. You know when sometimes you get a loose powder and you just put it on and immediately you see like texture looks smoother and it's just like, whoa, you can see it? That's what this powder does. It's really beautiful. So I'm gonna set underneath my eyes, and I am gonna set on my nose. I do want to set the cream bronzer, which isn't a step I always do, but I've been doing it lately and I actually like the effect that it gives. So for that, I'm going to use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It's kind of about the same tone as the Danessa Myricks, a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to take this brush by Sephora. It is the Pro Mini Flawless Light Powder Brush, and I'm just going to pick up some of this on the tip, and we're just gonna kind of set just on top of that bronzer. It has a slight little pointed tip. We're gonna use that to get into the hairline. I'm gonna go and do my brows off camera, but these are the two products I'm using. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Brow Lift Pencil, and then I'm using the Brow Obsessive by Wet n Wild Gel. So I really like this brow combination. In the Brow Lift, I am the shade Medium Brown, and in the Wet n Wild Brow Obsessive Brow Gel, I am the shade Blonde. And I think that combination works really, really well together. So now we're gonna start with eye makeup, and I'm really excited to use this palette. This is the first time I'll be using this palette. This is the custom palette that I created at the Inglot store when I was in Las Vegas. Inglot is, to me, a kind of artistry-driven brand. It actually reminds me a lot of MAC in a lot of ways. So I picked this up at the, where were we at? The Venetian, that's where we were shopping, and I kind of made my own little palette. I picked some really beautiful shades here. For the most part, they are mattes. I do have that one shimmery shade there in the bottom corner, but I thought these would kind of give me some versatility. So we're gonna go in and create a look with this. I think I'm gonna keep the top lid pretty soft and neutral, but bring in some fun color on the lower lash line and eyeliner. So first I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna start with my transition shade, and we're gonna go in with this shade right here, and we're just gonna build that up in the crease. So these shadows are really beautiful, very pigmented, they blend out easily, they're really smooth. So I've got that in the crease. Now I'm gonna take the same brush, I'm gonna take the side of the brush. I'm gonna load up the side of the brush because I actually wanna bring this color kind of all the way over to cover most of the lid. Next, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, and I will have all the names, or I should say the numbers to these shades listed in the description box, but I'm gonna go in with this one right here, and I'm going to pack this on the lid, and kind of mostly all over the entire lid until we get to the inner corner, and I'm using the BK Beauty 206 brush for this. I like this brush because it's larger than like a basic shader brush, and it's a little fluffier, so even though it is gonna pack color on, it's gonna do it in a very soft manner. I want everything to look blended and diffused. So I'm gonna take it, and I'm just going to kind of run it starting on the outer half of my lid and then softly blending inward. Remember, the first place that you put your brush, always think about that. The first place that you put your brush is where you're gonna deposit the most color and where you're gonna have to work to blend out from. So if you go in the inner corner, you're gonna have a lot of color deposit there and you're gonna have to work harder to blend it out. And in this case, I want most of that color on the outer corner. So I'm always gonna start there and then I'm gonna softly blend in. This brush is so good for this. Whenever you're going for like a really soft matte look on the lid, this is such a great brush. Because of the size, it's still gonna deposit color well, but it's not gonna be as harsh as like a smaller, stiffer brush. So it makes it much easier to blend out. Sometimes when we do an all matte lid like this, it can be more work to blend than like a real, buttery, creamy, shimmery shade. Perfect. Okay, then you can also take the side of the brush. So now I've got a little product on the tip, and I'm gonna place it here, but then I'm gonna turn the brush. So if you notice, I've got my brush placed like this. Now I'm gonna turn it like this, and I'm gonna run it back and forth, and that's just gonna kind of smoke that shadow up. And when you do this, kind of pull your mirror back a little and look directly into the mirror. Try not to do this or do this. Just look directly, and that way you get that color exactly where you want it. So then when you're having normal conversation with people, the eye makeup is looking how you want it to look, right? And it's not like you have to walk around like this all day for people to see all the work that you did. Oh, I love this like simple look. It's just like a matte orangey brown, just makes blue and green eyes just pop. So pretty. And then I'm gonna kind of bring it over here into the bulk of the brow. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. So pretty. Okay, next I'm gonna take the same brush and I'm gonna dip into this lighter shade right here, and we're gonna create a really soft brow highlight. Now, I like using the brush that I used for the lid because it has a little bit of that color mixed in. So it's basically gonna keep this color from being too bright, too stark. Also, again, because it's fluffier than like the 203 or a more dense eyeshadow brush, it's gonna apply it real soft. So pretty. I'm loving this. These shadows are really, really nice, you guys. Okay, next we're gonna go in and just highlight that inner corner. And for that, I'm gonna use this shade right here. It's just a shimmery, sparkly shade. I believe this one actually has a name. Again, everything will be listed in the description box. But I'm just gonna pop a tiny bit of that just in the inner corner. I don't want it to be kind of the star of the look. We're actually gonna get there on the lower lash line, but I do want a little brightness. So I'm gonna take the BK Beauty 207 brush, and I'm just going to gently, softly place that. And we're gonna kind of run it right here in the inner corner. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that brush and just run it over it so it blends softly. Pretty pretty. Okay. All right, you guys, now the fun begins. I'm so excited to dig into this. These are the Inglot AMC eyeliner, gel eyeliners. Now, I feel like this is one of their cult classic products. This and the Duraline they are really, really known for. So the Duraline is an interesting product. It's something that you can add to your brush, and it basically turns shadow into liquid liner. And I will demonstrate that here in just a bit. And then this is a really great waterproof gel liner. I actually ordered this in black from Camera Ready Cosmetics, but I picked it up in this shade here. It is the, I think it's shade 64. Let me show you what it looks like. I mean, it has a little foil thing here. Let me take this off. Look at that. Is that not so beautiful? Okay, so we're gonna use this on the lower lash line. And then I also picked it up in this shade. This is the shade 96, a little more neutral. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. And we're not gonna use this one today, but I wanted to show you that. Let me actually show you what these look like on the hands, you guys. So we'll start with the 64 first, and I'm just gonna take the BK Beauty 208 brush. Oh, wow. Amazing, so beautiful, okay. And then I'm gonna take the 96 one, shade 96. It's a really pretty shimmery taupey shade. So those are what the two shades look like. Really beautiful. Now I'm gonna let these dry on my hand, and then we'll run my finger over it at the end of the application once they've had time to dry to see how well they stay in place. Okay, so I'm gonna use the 208 to apply this product, and I might go back and smudge it out with a 207 or a 204 because I do want like a smoky look, but I wanna have a lot of control when I first apply this. I don't wanna use a larger brush like the 207 or the 204 to apply it because I might end up applying too much. So I'm just gonna go and kind of blot this on my hand, and we're gonna create a line on my lower lash line. So this has an interesting consistency. I expected it to be a little thicker and drier than it actually is. It's actually pretty wet for a gel liner. I'm kind of surprised by that. Okay, I think I am gonna go in with the 204. Let me grab that and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got the 204, and I found that it actually kind of dried quickly, but I was able to kind of smooth it out, smoke it out a little bit before it dried into a fine line. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Okay, next I'm gonna go back into the liner. So this is where we're at right now. I'm gonna go back into the liner. I'm just gonna use my 204. Okay, so pros about it being a more wet formula than a dry formula is that it spreads really easily. So you do have time, plenty of time to work with it and create, you know, as smoky an effect as you want. And it's actually a little easier than I thought to control. I was worried that it would be really easy to kind of, especially when you're working with a color like this, to mess up and apply too much, but because it's a little wetter and a little thinner, it's easier to control. Okay, then I'm gonna kind of wipe my brush off, and we're gonna run right back over that. So beautiful. That is such a stunning color. I cannot get over how pretty that color is. Okay, I'm gonna leave the liner there. We're gonna go back and perfect it and add, you know, other products but for right now I'm done with that product. Okay, we're gonna kind of let that dry. I'm gonna go in and tight line my upper lash line, and for that I'm using a Aqua Resist pencil from Makeup Forever. I'm just going to kind of run this right here. Okay, that definitely kind of ties that in a little bit better. Next, I'm gonna go in and we're gonna use this deep, rich brown shade, and we're gonna use our Duraline product to create kind of like a soft, or not I shouldn't say soft, a very tight, small baby wing on top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Duraline, I'm actually gonna wet my brush. So I'm gonna put a drop on my brush, and I'm gonna kind of run it on my hand. So the consistency of this is very liquidy, a little thicker than I remember. I remember using this years ago and it felt like water. This is a little bit thicker. And then I'm gonna take my saturated brush and I'm gonna go in right here on the tip of the shadow. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty impressive, you guys. Pretty good. Okay, so now I wanna smoke out my lower lash line a little bit. So I'm gonna take a 203 brush. I'm gonna just take that shade that we used on the lid and I'm gonna mix it in with this shade right here. I'm gonna mix these two shades together and we're just gonna kind of run this over the lower lash line. Next, I'm gonna go line my inner waterline, and for that, I'm using this nude pencil from Inglot. I'm gonna run this in my inner waterline. This is a kohl pencil in the shade number 5. Okay, next let's pop on some mascara so this look comes to life. For extra lashes, I'm gonna add some lash primer. This is by Lancome. Then I'm gonna go in with the Grande Lash Mascara. Got a little bit on my lid. Darn. I'm gonna let it dry. Whenever that happens, just resist the urge to clean it up right away. Let it dry and then it's much easier to flake off. So I've been missing my lash extensions, you guys. I've kind of been like thinking about getting them back on, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, so I'm gonna apply another coat of this. I really enjoy this mascara. What are some of y'all's favorite mascaras? I have several right now that I'm really loving. This is probably the last application I can get out of this one. It's a little dry and clumpy now. Time to toss this one. Next, I'm gonna go in with this lip liner from Inglot. This is the shade 319, and I'm going to line my lips with this. I'll show you what this looks like. Really pretty, kind of, you know, rosy pink mid-tone shade, really pretty. Let's check out these liners and see how they're working. Okay, let me put this down real quick. Let's see how these liners are doing. They feel pretty bulletproof. Okay, so they did smudge, didn't they? I did layer it quite a bit and I think it just didn't have time to dry in there, because if I look at this little spot, which wasn't layered as heavily, if I kind of run my finger over this, it does not smudge. So I think I just needed to give this more time. Even if I run it over here on the bottom part of the liner, it doesn't smudge. So yeah, I think it's pretty waterproof, pretty good. Okay, then I'm gonna go in and lip line my lips. And I'm gonna apply this Bite Beauty lip crayon in the shade Glace on top. Then I'm gonna top it with this lip gloss from Wayne Goss. This is the shade Hyacinth. Okay, so let's go fix that mascara. I'm just gonna take the eyeshadow brush and a little bit of the shadow that we use there, and I'm gonna kind of run it over that and see what it does. It just flakes it right off. And this is the finished look. What do you guys think? I like it. I feel like this is in line and true to the looks that you see here on my channel typically, which are, you know, more neutral wearable looks, but incorporating some fun color and something that really makes a statement using that like really, you know, pinkish plum on my lower lash line. So overall, I was really impressed with all the products that I used from Inglot. I don't think there was one product that I used in today's tutorial that I didn't particularly like. I do like the Rare Beauty cream blush, but again, I will say if you are just getting into cream blushes, there are so many other user-friendly formulas out there. This is one that I would probably shy away from if you don't have a lot of experience with cream blush, because it's very easy to overdo it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have all products listed and linked down in the description box below. Always appreciate the time you spend here with me. If you enjoyed this tutorial and enjoyed this look, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I post pretty, you know, looks like this, wearable, neutral, everyday makeup. I'm 38 years old and I feel like the makeup, I'm a woman who loves beauty, but I'm also a busy mom. And so I like to create looks that kind of fit into my lifestyle. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I will hope you have a fantastic day and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.